Yes, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this online lecture series of MA Semester 1, based upon the NEP from the year 2023-24. We are dealing with the first paper and the fourth unit. The collaborating colleges have come together and organized this online lecture series. Nagpur Shikshan Mandal, Shri Binzani City College, Nagpur, Rajkumar Keval Ramani, Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur, J.M. Patel College, Bhandara, VN Government Institute of Arts and Social Sciences, Nagpur, Mahila Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur, and R.S. Mundle Dharampet College, Nagpur. I'm Dr. Pranjali Kane. I'm an associate professor in the Department of English of Shri Binzani City College, Nagpur. And I'm going to take you today to one of my favorites amongst all the Augustan age writers, Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock. It's a mock heroic epic, and talking about Alexander Pope, because this is the only detailed text which is there in the unit, and we will take this further without having any background topics, because the background topics have already been covered in the earlier section. Now, Alexander Pope's age, 1688 to 1744, so that happens to be the end of the 17th century, and at least till the middle of the 17th and then the 18th century. Alexander Pope, he was an English poet, a satirist of the Augustan period. And the Augustan period is the period which is between 1700 to 1740, roughly speaking, again, because the whole complete period is known as neoclassical age. And the earlier writer, the dominant writer of the neoclassical age was John Dryden, whose Absalom and Achitophel is also prescribed to you. After him, in the early part of the 18th century, came Alexander Pope with his wonderful The Rape of the Lock and the other satires also. And Alexander Pope was highly influenced by the writings of Addison and Steele. Now, we all know Addison and Steele, they have written quite many periodicals, and Spectator being one of them. And there were many essays in them. More than 500 essays were compiled in the Spectator and the Tatler. And through those essays, somewhere the idea was that they wanted to correct public morals, and with some kind of wittiness, some kind of admonishment, some kind of scolding which did not seem as scolding. So the end of satire is always some kind of change that they wanted in the social structure, so that a better society would come in. Yes, at the same time, I mean, the social satires were there, but at the same time, the personal satires also were very rampant in this period. And Alexander Pope also was highly influenced by the Spectator. And in this vein, he actually started thinking about writing The Rape of the Lock, which is presented in 5 canto. We move on about Alexander Pope. His best known other works are an essay on criticism, the Dunciad, an essay on man. So he is, I mean, a poet also, and he has written many critical articles. He has got an epigrammatic style of writing, and we have many beautiful sentences written by Pope, like "A little learning is a dangerous thing, to err is human, to forgive divine. For fools rush in where angels fear to tread." This is oft quoted, and many a times, many articles and even books bear these names. The titles of the books are these. So, epigrammatic style of writing is what Pope is known for. Now, before we enter into his particular The Rape of the Lock, we will first talk about what is a mock heroic epic, because we have to understand the various characteristics of a mock heroic epic, and then we have to go to the text to see how it fits into being called as a mock heroic epic. Now, for students, those who did not have literature earlier, an epic is like you call a Mahakavya. Like you have the Ramayana and Mahabharata in the Hindu mythology, these are epics. Similarly, in the English language also, in literature also, we have many epics like Paradise Lost of John Milton, a very famous epic. But this genre, that is the mock heroic epic, is a mockery of the actual epics written by people. I mean, epics are of also of various types, like the epic of growth and epic of art, and then mock epic. So, epic of growth and epic of art is, these are the two types of epics. Mock heroic epic came later on. Now, this epic is a long narrative poem where the adventures of some or the other hero is concerned. I can give you an example, like we have in Paradise Lost, we have the fallen angels, and we have the complete fall of man, the original sin committed by man, and about Satan or Lucifer. And we have the entire sequence in 12 books it is written. So, epic is a long poem. It is a narration. So, it is a kind of an event which has taken place. It is recited, or it is told, or it is described, or it is told to us again, where all the adventures in episodic manner is presented in front of us. Now, mock epic, if we call, it is the whole treatment is same as an epic, but the subject is trivial. The subject is, something which can, wherein you can laugh. I mean, the grandeur of the poem, the gravity of the epic poem, the treatment of the poem is the same, but subject will be something like The Battle of the Books by Swift, or The Battle of the Mices. Okay, and uh, the heroic deeds of a big person, a man who is valorous, who is very talented. If you equate the same thing to something which is very small, it creates laughter. It creates something which is ludicrous. Okay, so mock epic is just like that. Now, this type of writing, that is a mock heroic epic style of writing, became very popular in the 17th century, and it was later on carried on to the first part of the 18th century also. Now, why is this important? Because why is this something that which creates humor? Because there is a juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is when you place side by side the serious conventions of the epic, and at the same time something which is a minor or a trivial subject. When you place them together, it produces some kind of humor. There is a contrast between writing style and the subject matter. Uh, there is use of sarcasm, very important, irony, and exaggeration. These are three devices which are used in a mock heroic epic because you want to exaggerate certain things to make fun of the original epic. Now, students, the intention is not to hurt anybody's sentiments. The intention is to bring forth in front of us all the discrepancies that are there, all the negative things which are there, and which needs some kind of rectification. It needs some kind of changes, like the social evils, maybe, or even if it is a personal satire, you bring out the evilness in front of the people, and by bringing it out itself, you try to solve them. So there is some kind of a good change which is expected out of a mock heroic epic. Okay. Uh, this gradually, this style of writing, it moved to Great Britain in the post-Restoration and Augustan period, and it is known for its wit and its modernity also. It is a serious hero is replaced, fortunately, by a very foolish, cowardly hero who you cannot even call him a hero. Okay, so this is the characteristics. These are the characteristics of the mock heroic epic. We move on about the poem itself, The Rape of the Lock, which was published in 1712. Now, the basic idea is it was based upon a true story. There were two families, and a young man of one family was in love with a young woman of the other family. But there was a kind of an altercation between both of them. An incident happened between both of them, wherein the man actually cut a lock of hair of the girl, and there was a lot of friction between the two families. Now, Alexander Pope was a friend of both the families, and he was asked by uh, a common person, a common friend, to write down something so that the warring families will have some kind of peaceful solution. Now, I don't know whether they actually, there was any effect on them or not, but here we are today in the 21st century also reading this poem and enjoying it, because as we move on, I'll explain to you the different parts of the poems and you'll agree with me that it's a wonderful take on not only on the 18th century English life, the aristocratic life of the 18th century, but it also tells us a lot about the man-woman relationship, the characteristics of a man, how the woman is, how the man is. So there is a gendered kind of a response from us also when we read this poem. So it is a wonderful poem in that respect. Now, it is called a glittering poem about a glittering world. And we all know if this is a kind of a description, it must necessarily belong to a strata of society which was elite, which was rich, which was aristocratic. So it has got nothing to do with the commoners like perhaps you and me. Okay. So it was the Restoration age from 1660 onwards, where Dryden also wrote about the courtly life of Charles II. We have all the other major writers, including Swift and Dr. Johnson and all those people, describing the life of the elite class, the urban class people, and not even including the villagers, the rural area, or the commoners. So there is a stark difference between the Restoration, the Augustan age, then you have the transition period, and then later on the Romantic age. Okay, so that's why it's described as a glittering poem about a glittering world. Glittering is something which is shining, and shining because it belongs to a very rich world. The basic thing which Pope actually wanted to bring out in this poem was that we human beings give a great importance to our external appearances. And I think last a few decades, where since the advertising agencies have come up, we all will agree to this, that all of us have suddenly become greatly conscious of how we look rather than how we are. There is a lot of debate on this, wherein people will many a time say that it is equally important to pay attention to the presentation part of it. Now, with presentation or by presentation, what we mean is, for example, this PPT that I have prepared. So this PPT, if it looks nice, it attracts your attention. But it depends on us how much importance do we give to the external appearance, to the part called presentation, and the actual content of the entire presentation. So the same point is put forth by Alexander Pope, and somewhere he is hinting at what is going on at the back of his mind also. We are going to discuss this at the end of the poem again. So I'll leave it now with this. There are many witty allusions to classical verses and notably to Milton's Paradise Lost, because as I told you, that's the epic which the English people are very proud of. And it was written in 12 books and it includes a whole journey. And there are many episodes also. It is dealt with in a very serious kind of manner. But, Alexander Pope has alluded to this text a lot. And he has made use of the heroic couplets to write down the rape of the lock. We come to the poem itself. Yes. Now, the details of the poem, it was in between 1710 to 1712, somewhere, the poem was written by Pope. It was finally published in 1712. And it parodies Homer's The Iliad, as well as it has got many references to Milton's Paradise Lost also. It's a story of the beautiful Belinda and a handsome Lord Baron, both of them belonging to two different influential families of the aristocratic life of England of the 18th century. We have something which is a Pope's invention, I would say. He has told us about, he has created this supernatural machinery, and we all know about supernatural machinery by now, where we have William Shakespeare using supernatural elements in his writings. By this supernatural machinery, which we are going to deal with in Canto 1, that is the part 1 of the poem, here only I'll hint about it. He has said that women, when they die, they go back to their original elements. They return to become sylphs, nymphs, gnomes, and salamanders. They play an important part, especially the sylphs and the gnomes in this poem. We don't have direct references to the nymphs and the salamanders as such in this poem, but according to Pope, this is what he has created. And we have uh, uh, the representative or the commander-in-chief of the sylphs, Ariel, and we have got a gnome called Umbriel. Both of them play an important part in this poem. Now, this rape of the lock is actually the cutting of the lock of hair of Belinda by Lord Baron. This is in one line, if I have to explain the story of this poem, that is the rape of the lock. There is a reference to the cave of spleen, wherein Umbriel, the gnome, takes upon a journey. Now, we all know that in an epic, such kinds of journeys are included, long journeys and journeys wherein, metaphorical journeys are also there in epics. So here also, Umbriel goes to the heart of the earth inside the cave and brings in certain material from there. So this whole cave of spleen is also an important part of the poem. We have three wonderful characters. I have put Belinda later on, but she is the central character. She is the heroine of the play, the poem. But we have at the same time her maid come friend called as Thalestris. She represents the fiery, the termagant kind of women. And we have got Clarissa, again an important person, who is somewhere the mouthpiece of Pope himself. And we have Belinda. So as we move on in the poem, we have to keep in mind and have a kind of a comparative study of these three women characters. And then we have at the end the battle, which usually the epics do have such battles, not one but many. But here we have got one battle, and the battle is battle between the sexes. So as we move on, I'll explain what it is. These are the characters. Belinda is a beautiful young lady with wondrous hair, two locks of which hang gracefully in curls. She's beautiful. I mean, there is no other way to describe her. She's so attractive. She's so beautiful. She's so perfect. Anyone, any young man looking at her would instantly fall in love with her. And so it was very natural for the other girls, young ladies, to be jealous of Belinda, because it's always what I have and what I don't have. I think our characters are all defined by the have and the have nots. It can be in terms of anything. We have the other character, important character, the Baron, who is a young admirer of Belinda and who plans to cut off one of her locks of hair. Now, somewhere, if I have to explain, I have to talk about the Baron. This thought of spoiling the beauty of somebody who is perhaps not reciprocating my love, or not saying yes to me in a relationship. You can see this in every age. We have got the acid attackers, those who not only spoil the beauty of girls, but those who go to the extent of inflicting pain upon their counterparts, the females that they love. And there are many examples of this. There are wonderful films also made on this topic, and we have we have people, those who have the victims. You don't even want to call them victims, because they are fighting. No, but a similar kind of attitude is seen over here. If I cannot have you, let me spoil you so that you cannot have another admirer. Somewhere, this mindset is also there in the Baron. There is Ariel, as I told you, he's a sylph, he's the head of the sylph, and the sylphs are the supernatural creatures. The air element is prominent in them, and he is the guardian sylph of Belinda. So, a person or an entity or a supernatural element which is given the responsibility of protecting Belinda's beauty. See, we are constantly going to talk of the external self of somebody. Uh, I think the way we look, the way we are, it's God's gift to us. And if we accept it, I can be dark and I can be fair, I can be tall, I can be short, I can be fat, I can be thin. I can have wonderful eyes. I can have very thin eyes. I can have full lips. I can have thin lips. But these are the characteristics which I have inherited from my parents, and it should be respected. It should be loved. It should be accepted. It should be admired. These can be the different stages. But unfortunately, what we do is we have got yardsticks in amongst us, and we always have ideas in our minds that this is good and this is not good. Okay, and we try to measure up to what is good. The general standards can be different. Okay, but here, that's the beauty of the poem, that Pope brings out all these things which are there. This is the universal quality of Pope's poetry. The theme is such that even today, you can understand what Pope is trying to say, even though the topic was quite contemporary. The topic was that a young man of an influential family has gone to the length, goes to the extent of cutting the lock of hair of another beautiful girl from another influential family, and then there is a kind of a tiff between the two families, and some kind of solution needs to be there. It's a contemporary situation. Leave that. Even if you leave that, it's true even now. Okay. Then you have Clarissa as one of the characters, who is a young lady and who assists the Baron. So we have in Ramayana and Mahabharata also, we have got whenever war takes place, the females of the families of the great heroes, they assist the heroes in dressing up for the war. Okay, so you have all the things that the heroes wear to protect themselves from the enemy's attack. So if all those things are handed over to the warriors by the lady of the house. If that person is married, the woman would give. If he is not married, the mother would hand over all these, all these things. Here it is Clarissa, a young girl, a young lady, who helps Lord Baron with the scissors with which he cuts the lock of hair of Belinda. So that's the role, and there is a wonderful speech by Clarissa also, and we'll come to it when we do our Canto 4. We have Umbriel, the spirit who is a gnome who goes to the cave of spleen. I had a talk about that. And we have got Queen of Spleen who lives in the cave of spleen. It's an underworld, okay? And the Queen of Spleen is an underworld goddess. So she lives inside the earth, and she is responsible for creating all kinds of problems in the life of the human beings. Okay, so she is somebody who is just like a witch. Okay, and Umbriel goes over there and prays to her and brings from her all kinds of things which aggravate, which increase the troubles of Belinda. Then you have Thalestris, who is a friend of Belinda, and an interesting character called as Sir Plume. Now, Sir Plume is the beau of Thalestris. So there is a kind of a relationship between Thalestris and Sir Plume, but you have, reversal of roles over here. Thalestris is very fiery, and Sir Plume is shown as not at all, he doesn't have heroic qualities at all. So there is a stark contrast between between this couple. These are the major characters in the poem. We move on. Now, this poem is divided into 5 different parts, the 5 canto which are there. Now, in the first canto, we have as the convention of an epic goes. Now, convention is the rule of writing an epic. Whenever a Mahakavya or an epic starts, we have something which is called as invocation, okay, and proposition. So the invocation is the muse of that particular art is invoked, the blessings are taken from the muse, and then the big work or the very, a responsible kind of a work is started. In our households also, when you start a new work, maybe a project, or maybe you start to build a house also, you take the blessings of God. That's there in every religion, and every group of people believe in that, especially the artists. And the muse which is invoked over here is carol. Okay, so at the beginning is that, and then the second part is the proposition, wherein the theme of the entire poem is introduced, is told to us. Because it's a long poem, because it is, like you have got Mahabharat in 18 chapters, you have Adhyay. So it's a long story. And so somewhere the base has to be told. It cannot have an abrupt opening. Maybe just like a dramatic monologue, Browning's dramatic monologues, they open abruptly. You have to think about what is the background of this poem, as if two people are talking to each other and suddenly the poem starts. In an epic, this never happens. An epic has proper introduction. So that is called a proposition. So introduction of the topic is there. In the first canto itself, we have got a narrative voice which starts telling us about certain things. And there is a kind of a, something which you call as Vatavaran Nirmiti. So, the whole thing is presented before us, and the narrator is thinking aloud that how can somebody who belongs to an educated, well-off, aristocratic family, a man, assault a lady? It's unthinkable. How can a man do that? And a lady in the first place, how can she reject a lord? A lord, just like Lord Baron. When a person has got inherent qualities in them, how can you reject them? What are the pointers on which you reject somebody? It is the narrator is at a loss to understand how can this happen. So this is there in the beginning of the poem. And then we have got Belinda. The first introduction is over. And in the second part of the first canto, we have got Belinda, who is a heroine of the whole poem. And she's sleeping. It's day and night already. And the beautiful representative of the 18th century aristocratic young people, she's sleeping, she's dreaming. And in her dreams, she sees a young man talking to her. Now, Belinda is in the habit of sleeping till 12 o'clock midday. Then she would slowly get up. Then she would slowly have her tea, a bed tea kind of a thing, slowly dress up. And then there is a whole sequence where the toilet scene is explained, where she has got beautiful perfumes and rouges and all the powders and the puffs which are sent to her by people or gifted to her by people, and she's taking her leisurely time to get dressed up. She is herself beautiful, but she applies all this makeup to look more beautiful. So it is a kind of an artificialness which is there. And the whole lifestyle also of Belinda, which is described at the beginning itself, it makes us think that young men, young girls, they have got so great potential to do many things, not only for themselves, for the society, for the country. You can have so many projects, you can contribute in so many things. Instead of that, the young people of the 18th century, they spent their time only sleeping, partying late at night, coming home, writing love letters, receiving love letters, falling prey to all kinds of attractions. And this is how they spend their time. So Belinda is a typical representative of this 18th century class of people, wherein there is no work because they already belong to very rich families, and where therein they take a lot of liberty in terms of moral values also. Okay, so Belinda is sleeping at the beginning. It's almost 12 o'clock, and her small lapdog is there. His name is Shock. Okay, a very unusual kind of a name for a dog. But then he is the pet dog of Belinda, and he is also sleeping because as the master, so is the servant. So the dog is also sleeping, and Belinda is dreaming now. So uh, the introduction of the supernatural machinery happens here because in her dreams, this dream is proposed by or shown to her by Ariel himself. Now, as I told you, Ariel is the guardian protector, guardian angel of Belinda. So somewhere Ariel has got this thought in his mind that something dreadful is going to happen today to my beautiful Belinda, and I want to protect her. But how do I tell her? Because sylphs or nymphs or gnomes, all of them, they are not human beings. They are not creatures to be seen by naked eyes. They are supernatural machinery. Now, as I told you, the idea is that if while you're alive, and especially for women, this is told only for women because Pope has created this supernatural machinery. And Pope says that when very fiery, quarrelsome women, when they are alive, when they die after their death, they become, they are very shrewd, they are fiery, they are jealous, they are angry, constantly fighting amongst, such kinds of women, they become salamanders after they die. So there is a kind of a fire element. We have got the elements like fire, water, air, okay, and earth. These four elements are there. And these women go to the fire element and become the salamanders. The second category is described as the soft and sensitive women, those who can cry at the drop of a hat. Such women, when they die, they become nymphs. Now, nymphs are water creatures. So, they go back to their original element and water creatures. And that's why tears often come to their mind. They're very sympathetic, very soft, loving kind of women. When they die, they become nymphs. Then we have got the gnomes, who are the earth element women, those who are quite, frigid kind of, prudish kind of, sullen kind of, serious minded women. When they die, they become the gnomes. And the coquettish kind of women, those who are quite flirtatious when they are alive, when they die after their death, they become the air element, which are the sylphs. Very interestingly, though, what Pope has done is he has somewhere you come to know about the misogynist side of Pope also, that this is told about the women. Okay, but suddenly when the women die and become sylphs or nymphs or gnomes or salamanders, they assume the form of a he. So Ariel is called as he by Pope. Now, how does this happen? I don't know. But Ariel is the sylph, the air element, and Ariel has got this kind of a thought at the back of his mind. He has also had a dream that something bad is going to happen to Belinda, and I need to protect my child or somebody I'm in charge of. Now he is in a fix. How can I tell her? So he enters into her dream and he tells her, he warns her that some kind of impending danger is there and she has to save herself from something which is going to happen. He is not sure what is going to happen. Okay. But that kind of a warning is given by Ariel to Belinda in the sleep when she is dreaming. Now, as I told you, Shock, her dog, lapdog, is also sleeping besides her. And at 12 midday, she wakes up And slowly she remembers a part of a dream, but then she dismisses it. Many times it happens with us also. We dream a particular thing, but when we wake up, we remember only the remnants of it. And then we shoo it aside. We say, oh no, nothing happened. You don't even remember it later on. But that warning that something bad is going to happen, that kind of omen is what Ariel tries to give her. Now, there is slowly Belinda wakes up, she has her tea, she dresses up now, and then she sits in front of the toilet scene. And as I told you, these are the words from the poem itself. India's glowing gems are there on her, in front of her. All Arabia, that is the perfumes of Arabia, very famous things. Tortoise shelled combs are there in front, of her. Tortoise shell is very expensive. But for Belinda, all these things are her normal, everyday things that she uses. Then there is, elephant. The combs are made up of the tusks of elephant. The different pins that she uses for her hair also, they are all made by the tusk elephant, the teeth of elephant. Okay. And then there are puffs and powders and Bibles and billet doux. All are kept on the in front of her, near her toilet. So we have to notice here that what Pope is trying to tell us is that for a person like Belinda, having a Bible is there. She has a Bible there, which is a symbol of our religion or, God. And at the same time, near her toilet or near the dressing table that she is sitting in front of, on the shelf, there is a billet doux also, which is a love letter. Now, there are many people constantly falling in love with Belinda, and they keep on sending her letters. She reads all the letters, but she doesn't take them seriously. Now, it is very interesting again to note that she doesn't reject anyone. She smiles on all alike. So it is like if you pinpoint on someone and say that I want to get married to this person, you lose the admiration of the others. So you don't say yes to any one person. You go on accumulating love letters after love letters, and this is how we spend our time. Okay, this is how Belinda spends her time. So all her love letters are kept over there. The Bible is also there. The puffs and powders and perfumes and gems and tortoise shell combs, everything is arranged. And Belinda is taking her time to dress up. Okay. Now, this is the first canto wherein Alexander Pope has very nicely given us a supernatural machinery, Ariel warning Belinda in the sleep. And in the end, he says, beware of man, beware of all things, but most of all, beware of man. He doesn't know anything else. He doesn't know the details of what is going to happen. But the only thing that he understands and he wants to convey to Belinda is that some man is going to bring some kind of trouble in your life. So beware of him. We move on to the second canto now. And in the second canto, we have wonderful, the river Thames, and there are barges. Barges are small boats on which young men, young ladies, all of them gather together in the evening times and have their tea and play the game of ombre and generally mix with each other. Like we have got the parties, the clubs wherein the parties take place, the DJs and loud music and all. In those days, that is in the 18th century, there used to be beautiful barges, the sailboats which were there, and the river Thames in the evening used to look very beautiful with attractive looking young people exchanging pleasantries amongst themselves. Okay, so Belinda is now in a very good mood because she had a good night's sleep. I cannot say night sleep, I'll say a day's sleep. And she's dressed up to kill the others with her beauty. So she's very confident and she's sailing through the Thames River. Lord Byron is introduced in this canto, in the beginning of this canto itself. And Lord Byron has sent his proposal to Belinda, and somehow, as I told you, Belinda has not accepted, neither rejected. So that in between stage is something which Lord Byron is also, he's getting agitated. Somewhere he's feeling he cannot have control over Belinda, because Belinda is more powerful because of her beauty. That beauty has given her power. Okay. Now, Lord Byron is shown in the second canto praying to love. Early in the morning, he gets up, and as we have, big warriors, what they do is they seek the blessings of God or goddesses. Similarly, we have Baron who is seeking the blessings of the god of love. And how does he do it? So he, has a pyre of volumes of French romances. So he lights up a pyre, okay? And there are French romances, there are garters, there are gloves, and he also has got many love letters. So with all these things, what are these? These are the symbols of his earlier loves, the garters and the gloves. So he sacrifices everything. There is a sacrificial fire. Usually when there is a yagya, you have a fire which lights up, and you sacrifice something in that fire so that you get powers and blessings from the Almighty. In the similar vein, Baron also does the same things, but this is shown in such a ludicrous kind of way that it produces humor. So Baron prays to love, and now he also feels very confident, and he also comes to River Thames, and he's on a barge. He's on another barge, and he sees the beautiful Belinda, and she looks very beautiful, so he has fallen in love with her. Now there is at the same time Ariel, who is constantly on the guard of Belinda, that she should not fall prey to any man, and nobody should take undue advantage of her. So Ariel is very troubled in the second canto itself. He is running here and there, and he is asking all his sylphs, because he is the commander in chief and all the army of sylphs is in front of him. He summons them up and he gives them various orders, like, you will be responsible for this, you will be responsible. Delegation of duty is what he does. So we have got similar kinds of things when a war is going to take place or some kind of problem emerges. We have the security forces doing the same thing. So Ariel over here is the security chief, is what we can say. Now, these are some of the sylphs. Okay, very beautifully it is written by Pope. There is Zephyrata, there is Brillianta, there is Momentilla, and there is Crispissa. Now, all of them are given some or the other responsibility. Okay, so Zephyrata is somebody who is going to take care of the fan of Belinda. Brilliant will take the care of the eardrops of Belinda, that is the earrings of Belinda. Momentilla will look at the watch of Belinda, and Crispissa will be responsible for the beautiful hair of Belinda. So, Ariel is an expert in delegating duties to these sylphs. Everybody is given duty according to their own, the expertise that they have. And Ariel himself will look after Shock. Shock is the lapdog, because if anything happens to Shock, Belinda will feel very sad. And the moment a beautiful girl who has done her makeup and all, she starts crying or she starts feeling bad, she won't look as beautiful as she really is, or perhaps she wants others to her to look at her. Okay, so that's why somewhere Ariel wants to save her from looking bad. And that is why all these things are happening. Now, there is a preparation. They are just, there is a wonderful second canto ends on this note that there is preparation of defense. Everybody is there. All the sylphs are prepared now, because 50 sylphs are assigned the responsibility of protecting the petticoat of Belinda also. Now we have the English ladies wearing, the whalebone structure, and on top of that, their gowns used to be there. Okay, so that is also well protected. For example, if coffee is served on the barges, and there are coffee fumes which are very inviting to the people over there, and we all know it produces a good effect on us. The tea and the coffee, when they are served, there is a nice feeling which is generated. But unfortunately, if the coffee falls on your dress, there will be a kind of a big spot or a blot on your dress. So that should not happen. And that's why 50 sylphs are given the assignment. So now Ariel, along with his sylphs, are waiting and trying to protect Belinda as far as their power goes. Now we have the third canto, wherein the Hampton Court is described. Now, this Hampton Court is, interestingly enough, the place where Queen Anne comes for various things. All the governmental things are done at Hampton Court. Um, and at the same time, if she wants to spend some leisurely time also, she comes for having, calls in the aristocratic people or the ambassadors of the other countries, and she has tea parties over there. So sometimes it's leisure and sometimes it's work which is going on near the Hampton Court. But the young girls and boys who have gathered over there, like Belinda and Lord Baron, they are going to enjoy themselves. So the whole setting is now near Hampton Court. So it is beautifully done because it is Queen's her own chambers, and that's why it is very beautifully. The gardens over there, the barges over there, the lawns over there are well kept, and they are in a very good taste. They are maintained. So the Hampton Court is shown. Now, as I told you, the governmental functions of the court also are happening side by side over there. And here on the barges, Belinda is playing the game of Omber. Now, initially, what happens is that when the game begins, it is Belinda, because she is very good at playing the game of Omber. It is a card game. Okay, like you have the card game, we play the cards. So similarly, this is a particular game, just like the bridge game that is there. The Omber game is also there, and Belinda is very good at playing it. So we have to take it somewhere metaphorically also. And she goes on killing the cards of the other players, and she keeps on winning. But at that time, it is Lord Baron who also comes, who also starts playing with her, and he also starts winning. So somewhere he defeats Belinda. But in the end, it is Belinda who again comes and becomes the winner. So this is, sometimes the man is going to win, sometimes the woman is going to win. But in the end, it is Belinda who wins. And when you win, you're full of confidence. When you win, you feel as if you can never be defeated by anyone. So somewhere Belinda is having that kind of a feeling that I am important. I have defeated Lord Baron and the other lords also in this game, which is basically a man's game. But here, Belinda is very skillful in this also. The sylphs are constantly protecting Belinda, okay, because now she is playing, she is drinking coffee, she is interacting with the other men, and Ariel doesn't know from where the danger will come. So the protection of the sylphs is constant. As I told you, the Baron also wins, but final success comes to Belinda. The coffee is drunk by all the players over there, and they are exchanging, they are relaxing a bit, and they are exchanging some, you know, uh, pleasantries amongst themselves. Now, the Baron, while he is drinking his coffee, certain ideas enter his mind. And he is suddenly reminded of his one whim, wherein he wished to cut the lock of the hair of Belinda. See, he is defeated in the game of Omber. Belinda has not reciprocated his love also. So somewhere, as I told you about the mindset of the defeated people or rejected people, I won't call them defeated, I'll call them rejected people. They want to take some kind of revenge. And here, Baron plans to cut the lock of hair, the beautiful curls of Belinda. He wishes to cut them so that it will be a kind of a revenge and it will be a blot to the beauty of Belinda, as if Belinda is known only for her external beauty. That is the idea which is shown here in this poem. Now, there is Clarissa's role over here, where when Baron is planning all these things, Clarissa is the person who hands over the scissor, which is made up of steel. So it is in those times, steel was a new kind of a metal which was made available to people, and it has various uses also. Here in this case, it acts like a weapon in a war. Okay, so if you look at a scissor, it's only a minor, a small kind of a a useful tool, which you use in your kitchen also. Okay. But here in this case, it is assigned a bigger role. It is a big weapon of any warrior. So Clarissa is the person who hands over that scissors to Baron, and Baron, without thinking now, picks up that scissor and goes towards Belinda to cut the lock of hair. Ariel understands what is happening and they instantly come there to protect Belinda. Some of the sylphs come in between the pair of scissors and get cut also. But as I told you, they are elements. They are only airy creatures. They don't die. Okay, so they are only cut into two halves. They don't die. Okay, so there is the sylphs' protective stance is there again. But finally, Baron comes and Baron takes the scissors, moves towards Belinda, and at the end of the third canto, he cuts the lock of hair. But at that instant, what is more important is the role of Ariel. Ariel is full of excitement. He wants to protect his Belinda. He comes there near Belinda's heart. But then he sees that an earthly lover lurks over there. And the moment a young girl is in love with someone, you cannot protect her. She can go to any lengths going towards her lover. Ariel gets defeated. He cannot help her. He cannot save her. And he has to leave Belinda to her fate. So he retires. He cannot do anything. He puts in the weapons. He retires. And the Baron is successful in cutting the lock of hair of Belinda. So in the third canto, just like in a tragedy of Shakespeare or any other play by any other great playwright, we have the third canto as the climax point. From there, the denouement starts, the end starts, the whole cycle comes down. Here also we have in the similar vein, the rape of the lock of hair has been finally done. Okay. We enter into the fourth canto now. And in the fourth canto, we have Belinda's condition. In the beginning of the canto itself, we all can understand if a girl who prides herself to be very beautiful, or maybe a man who prides himself to be very courageous, if he gets defeated in a war, like a king himself gets defeated in a war, that is the worst thing that can happen to a king. Okay, so similarly, a young, beautiful girl who prides herself to be, at the top of every man's aspirations, suddenly finds that in front of everyone, all the others, all beautiful girls and handsome men, somebody has come and cut her lock of hair. It is a big kind of an insult which has taken place. So Belinda's condition is very bad. She has tears in her eyes. She's very sullen. She's very angry. She comes in her room. She throws herself on the bed and she is in a very bad stage at that time. And immediately, third canto, Ariel, who is a representative of the sylphs, the air element, they retreat, they go back. We have in the fourth canto, we have got Umbriel, who is a gnome, who is an earth element. He now wants to participate in this. He is not there to protect Belinda. He is there to increase or aggravate the condition of Belinda. If she is feeling sad, he'll do something with which she'll feel more sad. She'll feel more dejected. She'll feel more lost. So his journey to the cave of spleen is shown here, wherein he meets the Queen of Spleen. And Queen of Spleen is assisted by ill nature and affectation. Now, this is a personified thing. We can understand what is meant over there. And the Queen of Spleen, finally, when Umbriel has got a whole a sequence where he talks to the Queen of Spleen and he asks for some kind of a potion or some kind of a thing with which he can increase the problems of Belinda. So the Queen of Spleen, what she does is she takes a bag and she takes a vial, a small bottle, and she puts all these things into it, like the force of the female lungs, the sighs, sobs, and passions, and the war of tongues, the fainting fears, the soft sorrows, the melting griefs, and flowing tears. All these are very wonderfully explained in the poem. You should go and read the original poem first. Okay. And that is Umbriel, brings the bag full of all these things, and the vial rises up to the chamber of Belinda, because now here she's crying in the arms of Thalestris. Thalestris is her sympathizer. Thalestris is her friend, a confidant. Okay, and she's crying, and Thalestris is trying to pacify her. At that time, Umbriel comes and opens up the bag on the head of both these females and breaks the vial also on them, and all these things fall on Belinda and Thalestris alike. But the result is that Thalestris is a fiery creature, and her anger explodes. Belinda's anger also explodes, and both of them are now in the fifth canto going to fight the war also. But at present, in the fourth canto, both of them are in the chamber. Thalestris is going to decide now that she will take the help of her beau, and that is Sir Plume. And she goes to Sir Plume and she requests him that Lord Baron has done such and such a thing to my friend, and we need to take revenge of Lord Baron. But Sir Plume, on the other hand, he has got his famous snuff box with him. And snuff box, we all know that the pinch of snuff, if you put it in the nostrils, you go on sneezing a lot. Okay. So Sir Plume is in the habit of using the snuff box, using snuff. And he is, involved in that only. And Thalestris again loses a cool, and she says there's no point in taking the help of Sir Plume. It is we, that the females, should take the arms in our hands and go and fight with the men. So it ceases to be, it stops to be an aristocratic feud. It happens to be the war of the sexes, the males and the females, the males on one side and the females on the other side. And with this, we come to the end of the whole poem, the fifth canto that is there. And in the fifth canto, we have got Clarissa's speech over here. So Clarissa, when she understands that Belinda is feeling very bad about all these things, that the Baron has successfully in front of everyone cut the lock of hair of Belinda and all, there is a wonderful speech by Clarissa, wherein Clarissa represents all the people, those who feel that undue importance is given to the external beauty of someone. We have to see the thoughts of someone, the actions of someone, not the external beauty. We have to see how wonderfully a person develops himself or herself when we come into this world, and how we leave this world, whether we leave it as a better place or whether we don't make a difference at all to the surroundings that we are born into. This should be the way we approach life. But unfortunately, all the people will always give importance to the physical beauty. And Clarissa does not understand this, why this thing happens. Now, incidentally, if you look at the whole the speech of Clarissa, you'll understand that it is Alexander Pope who is talking himself. Now, Alexander Pope, in his life, had some problem. He was not an invalid, but he had some problem with his leg, and as in stature also, he was quite puny. He was quite not a tall person, a very shortish kind of a man, physically not very attractive, and so was rejected on many counts by women. And somewhere Clarissa, even though a female character is shown, she is a representative of all people, those who feel, those who think this way, that we are not looking at the soul of man. We are not looking at the attitude, the thinking, the actions of any individual. We are only looking at the external beauty, external appearance of someone, and how erroneous it is, how wrong it is. So similar kinds of things are said by Clarissa when her speech is there. Wonderful speech. Again, I request all of you to read those lines and think on it, because Pope wanted all of us to have our own ideas over here. Now, Belinda's lock of hair over here, it comes as a kind of a symbol of all the, the beautiful things which man possesses. Here, even if it is Belinda, you have to take it metaphorically. We have to understand that we give a lot of importance, and this is very absurd according to Pope. So the lock of hair, it symbolizes this absurdity. It is not a lock of hair at all. It has got nothing to do with somebody insulting somebody. How can your external features define you? They are given by God. Okay, they cannot define you. Your inner beauty, your thoughts, how you develop yourselves is something which is very important. The most sensible thing is to cultivate good humor in the face of aging. Very beautiful line by Clarissa in her speech. She says that what we need to do instead is, as we age, because an organic being has to grow, has to die. There is, anyone, however powerful you are, however intelligent you are, however good looking you are, whatever resources that you have, in the end, every individual has to pass on, has to die and go away. So while we are here on this earth, how do we conduct ourselves? Do we have good humor? Now, with good humor, it means the way we think also. Humor will not necessarily mean something which makes us laugh. Yes, it is how we accept ourselves. As we age, are we still struggling to look beautiful? Are we still struggling to look young? You have to be very graceful as you age. You have to be very graceful in accepting the various stages of our life. And every stage has got its wonderful things. This is what Clarissa is saying. And through her, Pope also wants to tell us. Okay. So while exterior beauty may attract the eyes, virtue attracts the soul. And that is something which will last us forever. But when all this is happening, we all know Belinda and Thalestris, both of them have taken up arms now, and their arms are the pins and the bodkins and all the beautiful combs and all those things that the women use to enhance their beauty. These things they are going to use to kill the men. So just by looking at the men also, the way beautiful girls are, when they look at men, the men lose their heart. So they die. So it's again metaphorically we have to take up. So the use of snuff boxes and bodkins are done, and the lost lock of hair in the meantime, when this war takes place, that the men are getting killed by the women are using all kinds of funny things to kill the men. Nobody is paying attention to the lock of hair, because the danger was, Belinda was thinking that perhaps the Lord Baron, will take this lock of hair and will show it as a sign of victory. It will be a kind of a trophy for him. See what I have won. Okay. And for the Baron, what he had proposed was that he will make a ring out of the strand of hair, the lock of hair, and he will use it on his arms, in his fingers. Okay. He'll put it in his fingers so that he'll be reminded of his victory, as if this was a very big thing. Okay. But in the meantime, when all this war is taking place, this lost lock of hair, it somehow rises up to heaven and it becomes a star. Now, when it becomes a star, it is to remind us of the folly that we create always. Now, what is the folly over here? That we give undue importance to the beauty of the external beauty and don't pay attention to the inner goodness that is there, the virtue that we should cultivate amongst ourselves. Okay. With this, we come to the end of the poem, The Rape of the Lock. And these are some of the important questions or important points that you should concentrate upon. I talked about Pope's misogyny. So please research on this topic, and you can include that in if the question is asked, or even while giving the introduction of this if a question is asked on the way the whole event or the incident which has taken place and how Pope has used especially the supernatural machinery, therein you can put a paragraph about Pope's misogyny also. A comparative study of Belinda and Clarissa, because they represent two opposite things, and while you study Belinda, you have to talk about all the character sketch of Belinda is very important. The way she looks at life, and the way Clarissa says, I mean, both of them belong to the same age. both of them belong to the same kind of aristocratic families, but their ideologies are different. And how they are different is what you should include in your answer. Very important and oft asked question is the Rape of the Lock as a mock heroic epic, and you will have to explain the various characteristics of what a mock heroic epic means, what are the characteristics of it, and how the Rape of the Lock falls on all these parameters. Okay, then naturally the supernatural machinery in the Rape of the Lock is an independent question, a long answer question for that matter, and you will have to explain about Pope's innovativeness, wherein he writes about the four elements that the women turn into, the sylphs, the gnomes, the nymphs, and the salamanders, and how these two characters, that is Ariel and Umbriel, both of them, their roles are there in this poem. Then we have the critical evaluation of the toilet scene. Yes, another important part, because when you talk about the beginning, the first canto itself, you talk about the richness that is there, the variety that is there, and the amount of idleness that is there in Belinda's life, everything, her way of life, because she is a representative of the whole of the 18th century aristocratic people. Okay, so you have to extend the characteristics to include all these people. Then we have the importance of Hampton Court, that's Canto 3. And in Canto 3, we have that, you juxtapose these two things also. Like you have leisure and you have got important government business happening at the same time. So you have got judges also, and many court cases are there in front of them, and they are so hungry and they are so distracted in the way that they give judgment, that they sometimes fumble, sometimes don't give right judgment also. So taking your duty in a very light-hearted way is what is shown over here. So it is a big satire on the government agencies also. So that's the third canto beginning. That's the importance of the Hampton Court scene. Another important question can be Rape of the Lock as a social satire, and I have been constantly pointing this out to you people, that social satire as a satire, the end should be rectification by some kind of change, or some kind of correction has to be done. The way the young men and women are, they should be given some important role. They should be, molded that way. They should be told about their responsibility. They should make a difference in the society that they live in. Okay, so as a social satire, what the role of the Rape of the Lock is. And in the end, there can be many questions, but one more question that I will take is the character sketch of Lord Baron. Another important aristocratic figure, a man who can make a lot of difference, but who spends his entire life doing what? Praying to love, having an altar created in front of the love god, and sacrificing all the gifts which he has won from his earlier loves, and spending his time doing nothing, basically. And as I told you about the mindset of Lord Baron also, if I cannot have a particular thing, let me spoil it so that nobody else can have it. So that's an objectification of Belinda also. That also a point you can include when you write down. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And with this, we come to the end of uh, the whole poem, that is the Rape of the Lock.